Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Elegies, Aya, and we are we are closer to getting to the truth. And yeah, let's see what this truth is all about.
Hmm.
She's right. I wonder if we should even try to get this to the cops or something. In the worst case scenario, that something happens to us and we don't make it out, at least the evidence in these videos might convince someone else to take action. Then there would be still a chance that Dr. Laurent will pay for his crimes. It won't all be for nothing. On the other hand, what have the cops ever done to help us throughout this entire parade of violence and trauma? Mostly, they've just gotten in the way and made things harder for us. Even if that detective always claimed she was trying to help, she never seemed to be very good at it. I don't know if I could trust her to carry on our work if we are gone. But on the other hand, not like I know anyone else we can trust either. It might be worth a shot. Um, I guess we should try to get her help. We could use
You
her
know,
help.
Aya, as crazy as this sounds,
Yeah.
I kind of wish I had kept one of Inspector Tyrell's business cards.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, as incompetent as she is, who else are we going to call? We need some kind of backup plan. Some way to keep these files safe and make sure that if we can't get any more evidence for some reason, they'll go to someone who can handle the case.
I guess you're right. Who knows? Maybe she'll make herself useful for once. Her work number is probably online or something, right? Let's give her a call.
You've reached Detective Tyrell with the Markham County Police Department. I'm not at my desk right now, but please leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Hi, Tyrell? This is Zach. Zach Gilbert. I can't tell you where I am, but I do have something important for you, so listen carefully. You know the main branch of the public library downtown? There's a corner of the psychology section where barely anyone ever goes. Head there as soon as you get this. You'll find a tablet computer on the shelf in between two books called A Cure for Darkness and Waiting for First Light. Trust me, I'm not exaggerating when I tell you this thing is chock full of evidence of several crimes. Arson, conspiracy to commit murder, definitely something to do with ethics and informed consent about experimental medical procedures. You want to know who killed my parents? It's all there, and more. I'm about to do some more of my own investigating, which is why I need you to take care of the tablet while I'm gone.
Also, we are trusting Tyrell now. But what not? Why not telling her personally? Or why always doing this stuff like a secret agent? This is what kind of annoys me right now.
With any luck, I'll see you again soon. Hell, I'll even let you throw me in jail for the breaking and entering I'm about to commit. I won't resist. I won't care. Just as long as you make Dr. Lewis Laurent pay for what he did to me and my family and my best friend. And if I don't come back, then it's all you, Detective. Try not to mess this one up. Oh, and apologize to Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd for us if they're still in custody. We're about to cost them their jobs.
Wow, he really needed to make it this epic, right? Oh, please don't let me get the wrong ending. The main entrance of the hospital looms in front of us, lit up against the blackness of the night sky. The building's intimidating vasteness reminds me of the kind of spooky old mansion where one of those horror stories Aya loves might be set. And I are the unsuspecting visitors walking to our doom. The day I got out of this place, I swore to myself that I'd never go back. No matter how many nice memories I made here with Aya, it was still the prison that I had spent some of the worst hours in my life in. Immobilized, in pain, and alone. I resolved that if I ever got injured badly enough to need medical attention again, I'd drag myself to a different hospital, even if I'd have to go to another city entirely. Any distance would be worth it to avoid sharing a building with that narrow bed that had felt so much like a coffin. Of course, I ended up breaking that vow when Aunt Claire reminded me that I had an appointment with the doctor to get the cast off. Not that I had a choice. And that was painless enough. But after I hobbled out of there for the second time, gingerly putting some weight on my bad leg in its padded boot, I renewed my promise to myself that that would be the last time. Yet, here I am again.
What's the game plan, Detective Zack?
Hmm. Visiting hours are probably over at this hour, so we can't just walk in. Do you know if there are any back entrances we could use?
I speak to Aya under my breath, leaning against the shelter of the bus stop where we disembarked at the final stop on our journey.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty. But security can be pretty tight, especially at night. Maybe we could use the loading dock. Pretend to be delivering important medical equipment?
What would we be delivering?
Yeah, especially if Zack is still hurt.
We need a big package, or a truck, or something.
Yeah. Let me think.
As Aya ponders our options, the sound of an approaching siren wails out into the night. An ambulance tires squeal to a halt in front of the emergency room, and two scrub-clad members of hospital staff rush out to greet the vehicle. They began to load an unconscious patient on a stretcher out of the back doors, and a light bulb goes off in my brain.
Hey, how about the emergency room? I could fake some kind of sickness or injury. That would get me in for sure.
Oh, that's a great idea!
The only problem is making it convincing.
Yeah, but also not too convincing, right?
What do you mean?
Well, if they think you're having a real medical emergency, they'll rush you in right away and probably do a bunch of tests and stuff. Then they'll just find out you're faking and we won't get anywhere. So pick something that isn't life-threatening, I guess?
You're right, but if I fake something too minor, I might just end up sitting around in the waiting room for hours.
I remember one time one of my friends got injured in a soccer game. It was nothing big, really, but the coach was a little worried. He took him to the ER just to be safe, and I tagged along to keep him company. We got so bored waiting for the doctor to see him that we ended up and playing spy and other last resorts of the desperate by the time he finally got in.
It'll have to be something serious enough that they let me in to see someone, but not so serious that it's an emergency.
Yeah, that makes sense. So got any ideas for, like, medium ailments?
Maybe I got hit on the head? Possible concussion?
I don't know. Those could be worse than they look. They might want to run some tests right away.
I guess Aya knows best in this situation. She probably passively absorbed a ton of medical knowledge over the years she spent here.
Maybe you could just pretend your leg is getting worse again? That would be easy, right?
Yeah, but then they'd probably ask all about what happened to it before, and which doctor I saw the first time, and they'd probably want to look up my files and stuff. It's better they don't know who I am, right?
Yeah, good point. Maybe... No, that wouldn't work.
The two of us fall deep into thought, the silence punctuated only by the occasional muttered phrase from Aya. I watch as the ambulance, now without a passenger, rolls off again into the night. I think about what kind of calls the paramedics might get next, whom they'd have to help and why. And then something comes to me.
I've got it! I figured it out!
Really? What are you going to do?
I can't help grinning at the brilliance of my plan.
Watch this, Aya. I'm going to tell them the truth.
What? What do you mean?
You'll see.
I chuckle as I lean on my cane, making my way to the ER entrance as quickly as I can. Aya floats along behind me, a continual font of doubt.
You're not actually going to try to explain anything to Dr. Lauren, right? There's no way they're going to listen to that. You don't even have the tablet. And even if we did, they'd never believe it. They think you're crazy.
Exactly.
What?
I compose myself as the automatic doors slide open in front of me, doing my best to ignore my concerned friend as I approach the reception desk. Not that it even matters right now. Can I help you?
Hi.
I flash him a cheerful grin in contrast with the worry I can see on Aya's face in the corner of my eye.
So, I can talk to ghosts. My best friend is one, actually. No one else can see her, but I can. She talks to me all the time.
Zach, what are you doing?
She's here right now, actually. She just asked me a question. I bet you can't hear it, can you?
The receptionist stares back at me, his placid and neutral expression clearly taking some effort to maintain.
Zach, are you trying to... Oh,
Yeah, nobody else ever can. But anyway, that's not even what I'm here about.
My smarts get wider with the confirmation that Aya has started to grasp the plan.
See, my ghost friend and I have started uncovering this conspiracy that killed my parents, and
I'm just going to get the doctor to see you as soon as possible, okay?
you don't want to hear more about the conspiracy? There are all these shady guys following me around. And one of them,
Just right this way, okay? The doctor will be with you in a moment.
okay,
As I follow the anxious receptionist's path through the waiting room, I look over my shoulder at Aya and wink. Okay, now what?
see? Pretty good plan, huh?
I whisper to Aya after the receptionist ushers us through a pair of massive swinging doors into a small, curtained off waiting area.
I freaked that guy out just enough to let us in. But since my life isn't in immediate danger, the doctor will probably have other priorities first.
Yeah, that's always with mental health problems.
Plus, now that they think I'm crazy, anything weird they catch us doing will just be further evidence that I do need to be in the hospital.
Aya rolls her eyes. At least there's a smile on her face. Oh, cat.
okay, maybe that was a good idea. But I still think we could have talked this over more. If you weren't in such a rush to show off your brilliant plan. What's step 2, genius?
I shrug. The relief of being able to tell someone the truth, even knowing they wouldn't believe me, has got me in high spirits. And as much as I had been dreading coming back here, making little plans in the hospital with Aya feels nostalgic and fun.
I don't know. Cause a diversion? Anything useful in those little cupboards?
Let me check.
Aya pops her head through the door of a small storage compartment attached to the wall.
Would chloroform help?
Perfect, just like in the movies.
I spring to my feet and throw open the cupboard as Aya dodges to avoid the strangeness of me flinging the door right through her. I grab a nearby clove and moisten it with some of the liquid from the bottle.
I can use this to knock out whoever comes in here next, and then swap clothes with them to sneak in further by pretending to be a nurse or something.
Really? Aren't they all bigger than you? Or taller?
I still think you're getting a little bit ahead of yourself. Like, what if the person who comes in here is way shorter than you or something?
Yes! Thank you, Aya!
You can't walk around in tiny little scrubs with your belly hanging out. People would notice.
Hey,
I grin at Aya as I take my position just behind the curtain, non lethal weapon in hand.
my belly would not hang out.
I make sure to lower my voice back to a whisper, keeping an eye on the movement of any shadows on the other side of the curtain.
And, well, then we just wait for them to send someone else?
Aya snorts in derision.
And what? Just keep piling up unconscious bodies in here? I'm not sure about that one, Detective.
He played too much Assassin's Creed.
Look, do you have to criticize everything I...
My hissed rebuke is interrupted by the curtain shifting aside, and I leap into action, wrapping one arm around the shoulders of the stranger, coming in while using the other one to jank it closed again. A cry of surprise is muffled by the glove in my hand, which I forcefully press against the stranger's mouth and nose. The clipboard he was holding clatters to the ground, and I hope the sound won't summon anyone else. I don't hear any approaching footsteps, so I continue with my mission. Doing my best to hold the struggling nurse still, I look him over. Seems like luck is on my side this time. He's a young man, not too much taller than I am. I can totally pull the old clothing swap on this guy. As soon as he falls unconscious, which should be any minute now, my confidence in my plan wavers as he slaps at my hand. First with a light and ineffective attempt, but then again with enough force to startle me a bit. He takes advantage of that and twists out of my grip, taking a big, gasping breath. What the hell, man? He throws his arm out in disbelief, his words just a tiny bit slurred. What is that? Chloroform?
Yeah?
Are you really telling him? I stand there, frozen in fear, trying to formulate the next step of my plan and failing. Aya isn't speaking up at all, so imagine she must be just as thrown off as I am. It would be one thing if this guy called security and we had to make a break for it. We could handle that kind of thing. But he's just standing there, looking mildly annoyed at worst. Did you really think that was going to work? It's not like in the movies, you know? He seems to be recovering a bit as he begins to lecture me, although there's still a noticeable slowness in his speech and gestures. Then again, maybe it's just exhaustion rather than the effect of the chloroform, since he also has dark bags under his eyes to rival Aunt Claire's after an all-nighter of painting. I'd have to stand there breathing in it for like 5 minutes if you wanted to knock me out.
Oh. Sorry?
Yeah, don't even worry about it, man. He shrugs, confusing me further. Believe me, that's far from the worst thing a patient has tried to do to me. Barely even in the top 10.
Oh, is that why you're so...
I fumble for the right word.
unconcerned about it?
The nurse lets out a sigh. Yeah, that and the fact that I'm not even supposed to be here today. Someone else called in sick, and I've been on shift for like 14 hours. I don't think I have enough energy to experience an extreme emotion. I know the feeling. The nurse sighs and bends over to pick up his clipboard. So, what are you in here for? Uncontrollable urges to pretend like you're a movie villain? Or maybe it's not really the villains who usually do the chloroforming. He taps his pen against his chin as he contemplates. Movie henchman? Doesn't quite have the same ring to it. Skipper! Aya finally pipes in.
Is it time to try your patented Zachary Gilbert truth telling technique again?
Sure. Why not?
Listen,
I glance down at the identification badge hanging from the front of his uniform.
Ezekiel?
Ezekiel! Oh, actually everybody calls me Zeke.
Okay, Zeke.
Huh, Zach and Zeke.
What kind of joke is this?
You guys could be a comedy duo.
I do my best to ignore Aya's commentary.
Zeke, would you believe me if I said I really need to get to a secret lab deep inside this hospital in order to stop a murderous conspiracy and possibly save my best friend's life?
The nurse barely reacts. Nope. But I will take some notes on all that to give to the doctor. So, what was the point of the chloroform again? Saying this out loud is going to sound so dumb.
So I could knock you out and swap clothes with you and get into that secret lab disguised as a nurse?
Ah, right. More stuff you probably got from a movie. I feel a little insulted as he scrolls a few more notes on his clipboard. I really didn't think it was that bad a plan. Zeke pauses his note taking and lets out a huge yawn. Man, like you even need chloroform to knock me out. I could go for a nice nap right now.
Well, why don't you?
I jump at the opportunity, a hopeful smile spreading across my face.
Look, you don't have to believe me about all that conspiracy stuff. I know it sounds insane,
Sure does.
but you really need a break from this 14-hour shift, right?
Zeke tilts his head to the side. Sure.
What if you just lie down on the bed here for a bit?
He furrows his brow. And what? Just let you continue your little troublemaking mission around the hospital? And also probably lose my job? Aya's giving me an incredulous look too, and I rush to justify myself to both of them.
No, no. There's way more to the plan than that. Listen,
Okay?
before you lie down, I'll give you my clothes, right? So anyone who comes by will just think you're a patient. No one will bother you while you just get a bit of shut-eye.
Zeke responds with a contemplative nod. Go on.
And this is the best part. If anyone catches me running around dressed up in your clothes, you can tell them I knocked you out with chloroform, and you won't get in trouble.
Hmm. Zeke chews his lip and taps his pen against his chin again for a moment before shrugging. You know what? Maybe I'm crazy too, but that actually sounds like a decent plan.
Yes!
I see Aya pumping her fist in excitement out of the corner of my eye. Zeke's eyelids start to drop as he tosses his clipboard away and begins pulling his shirt over his head already. Just make sure you tell them I fought really hard before you knocked me out. I was really trying to do my job, but I couldn't overpower such a terrifyingly dangerous mental patient.
You got it, Zeke.
Aya jiggles in triumph as the top half of my nurse costume lands in my arms. Okay, this worked better than I thought. Crazy. A few minutes later, I'm traversing the halls of the hospital's research wing with Aya floating alongside me. I'm a little nervous about being caught in act, but no one I've passed has given me a second glance yet. I guess I make a convincing enough nurse that everyone figures I'm busy with something that isn't their problem. I wasn't sure exactly where to go at first, but then I remembered something from back in the day when Aya and I used to spend our time exploring every nook and cranny of this place. We'd ended up in a hall I wasn't supposed to be in, and a woman in a lab coat manhandled me back into the elevator. As soon as I brought it up, Aya said she remembered too and began leading me through the maze of hospital wards to the very same elevator we took that day. I'm a little impressed by her sense of direction. I guess she really does know this hospital like the back of her hand. I give Aya a nod as the elevator reaches our destination and I take a cautious step out into the sparkling clean floor. I left my cane behind in the emergency room, figuring it might help buy us time by looking like a convincing patient. But it means I have to put some extra thought into walking, making sure I'm not putting too much weight on my bad leg. The elevator doors slide shut and the hallway stretches out towards a large metal door. Unfortunately, the door creaks open as I approach it, revealing a smartly dressed woman wearing a bright white lab coat on top of a matching skirt and blazer. She looks familiar. I think she might be even the same woman who kicked me out of this hallway back then. Back in another life. I do my best to keep my steps even and confident despite my nervousness and the ache in my bad leg. Maybe I shouldn't have left my cane behind after all. Can I help you? I sneak a glance at her ID badge once I'm close enough to read it. Dr. Janine Taylor. Name kind of rings a bell.
Zach, I remember that name.
Yeah, me too. Aya must be on the same page.
Lauren mentioned her in one of those videos. She worked with our parents.
Right. So she's one of that mad scientist croonies. In that case, this might not be the best time to continue with my patented truth-telling strategy.
I'm here to see Dr. Laurent.
Backup plan, just act like I belong here. Do you have an appointment?
He's expecting me.
Actually, that might not even be a lie. Considering the amount of effort this guy has put into having his creepy henchman shadow me so far, he might already know it was me who stole the tablet. He could have anticipated that I'd learn his secrets and come looking for him. He could be waiting in that lab right now for a final showdown. Maybe I do have an appointment, but the self-appointed guard looks skeptical. At this hour, Dr. Laurent is very busy. Her eyes darted down to my stolen ID. Ezekiel?
Oh, actually, people call me Zeke.
Ah, yeah, turtles.
Nice commitment to the role, Zeke.
This is really a nice commitment. He's so in character.
You should have been an actor.
Why is she coming up with so many potential career changes for me tonight? She really wants me to go into the entertainment business. Well, as I was saying, Zeke, Dr. Laurent doesn't make appointments with just a random ER nurse. He has a lot of very important and sensitive work to be doing.
Of course, Dr. Taylor. That's why I need to speak with him as soon as possible.
Entering kill them with politeness mode.
I'd hate to take up too much of your time when I know how vital a role you play on his team. I'll just pass on the information I have for him and then leave the two of you to your work.
She narrows her eyes. Apparently still unconvinced. You have information for Dr. Laurent. About what? Darn. Good question.
Oh, Zach, I've got it. Tell her you've been keeping a lookout in the ER for him. Like watching for patients he might want to do his freaky experiments on.
Once again, I'm glad I have Aya's invisible support to get me through this. I don't think I'm going to word it exactly like that, but otherwise, not a bad idea.
Look, you think I work here in the ER for fun, Dr. Taylor? I'm there on Lawrence orders.
When politeness fails, shift into angry customer mode. I learned that from my mom. She was a master at getting to speak with the manager.
And I just had a very interesting interaction with a patient there that I believe he'd like to be informed of immediately.
The kid tried to knock me out with chloroform. I think to myself, struggling not to break the character and laugh.
So, are you going to let me do my job, or do you want to explain to your boss why you're wasting my time while a valuable patient could be leaving the hospital at any minute?
I, um. Finally, she's starting to look concerned.
Oh, that was intense, Zach. Super intimidating.
Yeah, I think I nailed it. Let me just, double check some things. Go on ahead for now. She taps her badge against the scanner by the door and shuffles out of my way as it swings open again. Oh, and now we are in the depths. I give her a nod of thanks before Aya and I finally cross the threshold to the place where this all began. I take one step into the darkened room, and white panels of overhead lighting begin to automatically flick on, the farthest ones coming last in an echo of the ones just above me. I half expected the lab to be full of scientists busy pouring brightly colored liquids into test tubs or whatever it is they do in labs like these. But besides Dr. Taylor, whom I can faintly hear starting to make a phone call as she heads off towards the elevator, there doesn't appear to be anyone else around. Was she the only one working the night shift? Is that a thing on top secret medical research labs? Wait a minute. Night shift or not, she can't be the only one here. Where's Dr. Laurent? Dr. Taylor seemed to think he was in here when I asked about him. I guess maybe there are some offices and other things connected to the lab.
Hey Aya, where do you think we should...
I trailed off my question unfinished when I noticed her reaction to our surroundings. She's drifting toward the center of the lab, paying no mind to the counters she passes through on the way.
Aya!
I skirt around a few of them to catch up to her, where I can see a disturbingly vacant expression on her face.
Are you okay? Did you?
It takes a moment, but her translucent eyes flickers toward me, lit up with a hint of recognition.
Remember something?
Yeah,
She hisses out a deep breath as she looks around around the room.
I remember this place.
Oh, she does remember. Okay, good for her. But I guess we make a break for this episode here. We save it, and next time, maybe we have next time the big showdown. By the way, the last safe spaces were always with Aya. Should give me some thoughts about it. So yeah, everyone, I hope we see each other then, and until then, everybody, bye bye.